my point. I literally put in large stacks of cash, rotated things out. I had bought stock, sold stock, and ended up with an extra $250 like out the gate. I was like, dang. And I had put it there for all of 4 days. I put it there 2 or 3 days before the ex-dividend date. The day after the ex-dividend date, I sold the stock. And then I'm looking at, oh, snap. Because I think I put up like $2,000, and then I ended up with 230. And it was just there for just that period of time. Now, technically, that's a 10% share on the share itself, but it's a quarterly, and I moved that money somewhere else. So that quantity of cash every 3 months, because I'm moving it from quarterly to quarterly, I'm actually hitting a lot more quarterlies that pay a larger quantity of money than the monthlies. But when we don't have a quarterly to hit, he says, damn, you started with 2K. No, actually, I started with 1K. I started with 1K when I started talking about this in January. I started investing at the end of February. I started with 1K. I made enough from February to May to end up with 2,500. And then I sold 2,000 of the stock so that I could rotate out $2,000 worth of stock in a dividend rotation. Now I've got about 4,600 in the stock right now that I'm moving around, where I think I got about 700 or 800 of it that's being held, and 2,000 of it that is still pending to be relocated, and 2,000 that I just bought into. So it's like the money is starting to move around a lot. And the larger the values that you're using, the larger the payouts are going to be, even if the percentage is still 15%, because 15% of $100 is $15, which isn't a lot of money to anybody. But when you say 15% of $100,000, that's $15,000, which to some people, that's their annual income. To some people, that's like 3 months worth of income. But depending on how you do that, if you're getting it once a quarter or once a month, the payout is still a payout. So if you're getting, 12 cents a share on 200,000 shares, then you're getting 12 cents a share on 200,000 shares. and the fact is that you have to be able to afford 200,000 shares. So And that's what I tell everybody to do. So when I talk to people on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I tell you guys about how things are changing, and how those things change tells you guys how investments change. Because like while Donald Trump is talking about war, anything military based, anything like cybersecurity and all these other things, all of this stuff allows you to invest in those things. And those are going to be growth stocks. So they don't pay dividends. But the more that you're investing in defense programs as a shareholder, the larger the value is going to get for your money. And those are the type of stocks that if you have cash stocks like the dividend rotation stocks that I talk to you guys about every week, and you have growth stocks, you can take a cash loan against the total value of your stocks and then pay the loan back based off of the cash issued to you from your cash stocks. Where if you have $100,000 or $200,000 worth of portfolio and you take out that loan and you're making $20,000 a year or $25,000, or with our dividend rotation strategy, probably $50,000 per year out of that $100,000 at minimum after taxes. If you took out a $100,000 loan and they wanted you to pay $1,000 a month on that cash loan for any period of time, that's the cost of doing business, because you could take that $100,000, go and buy whatever it is that you wanted cash up front, and take the cash stocks and put it on the loan. And that is going to be written off on your taxes. So you don't get taxed on the profits from the stock option, and you own the item that you're financing. So if you bought a car, cash up front. If you bought a house, you got the house cash up front. Which means that if something happens where you don't have enough money to pay for the loan itself, they liquidate the stocks, which is beneficial for you, because if you it pays for itself. You keep all the assets. So you keep the house, you keep the car. You don't have to worry about them repossessing your shit because things didn't go the way you wanted it to go because you own everything outright. But in order for you to get there, the average worker that works and lives at 90 to 95% of their income outside of discretionary spending for minor entertainment, you would not be able to afford to put enough money aside to make that particular level of capital to do that particular type of spending. But if you owned a house and your stock option was paying for the mortgage, you have no rent, which means your whole paycheck from your job could go to the stock option because most people's lights, gas, water, car insurance, phone bill is less than $500 to $800 a month. And if you're still making $2,000 to $5,000 a month, but your house is already paid for, which is typically 68% of most Americans' income, you have 68% more discretionary capital, which you could ultimately redirect into your stock option so that after the house is paid, you have an extra 68% of profits that could be going to you for your vacations, trips around the world, and still not touch the principal. So I tell you guys like ways to make, save, and invest money. And that's what we talk about on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So, but we also recognize that when you're trying to invest money, you have a business strategy, you have a plan that you're trying to go down, you end up making stupid decisions. Night out on the town with the guys, club hopping, chasing girls, trying to impress the ladies. If you're females, you're spending a bunch of extra money on clothes and makeup and other such stuff to make yourself look attractive, trying to have this guy come over and talk to you to validate you when you're not really looking for a serious relationship. Then you have individuals, both male and female, that make the most ridiculous decision out of loyalty and duty to pay for the stupidity of their friends when their friends do things to screw up their lives, whether it's getting arrested, DUIs, breakups, vandalism, because when that girl gets mad and she spray paints your car and busts it up with a baseball bat, don't think that she don't have restitution to repair that cost and cover the damage of that vehicle. Don't think that she just gets away with that. She was emotional that day, but Your Honor, I was emotional that day is not going to stop the judge from making you replace or repair the damages done to that car. So these are the kind of things that cost the average individual who does spend wisely but still makes poor decisions in their personal life to bail a friend out of a bad situation. And it's not just the friends. A lot of us also bail family members out where people live above their means. They make a certain quantity of money, but they spend on a certain quantity of lifestyle where they're spending more money than they make. And then when they don't have enough money to cover ends, they borrow from you. But because they're so broke, they can't pay you back. So since they can't pay you back, when they mess up a second time, they're borrowing from you again, but they never paid you back from the last time. And they're going to keep doing that because you're going to keep lending to them because you are the safety net that prevents them from hitting rock bottom. But because of that, they're bleeding you dry. So I show you guys how to change your decision-making process so that you can stand on principle, stand on business, have love and respect for your friends and family, but make sure that they're not abusing the fact that you have become successful. Because every one of us knows that if we were to win the lottery, there is a handful of people that we don't talk to that's in our communication log that as soon as they found out we won the lottery, they would call and ask for money. As soon as they think we've got money, they will call, "Hey buddy, how you doing? Oh, by the way, I'm going through some shit. Can you help me out?" But if they wasn't calling you for some money, they otherwise wouldn't call you. Think about this. There are a lot of people, and we're not even on that topic today, but I want to touch base with that because this is one of the reasons why we're covering topics like today. But think about the fact that there are a lot of people in your Rolodex right now that you only talk to on a regular basis because you reach out to them. If you stop reaching out to the people in your Rolodex, see how long it is between the last time you talk to them and the next time you talk to them. And that shows you how important you are to them. Because if you only talking to them once a month or once every 6 months because they're reaching out to you versus y'all would have been talking every week or every day if you was reaching out to them, that lets you know exactly how important they are. So I just want to let you know. He said, just say, "Hey, bro, I already spent all the money." Oh, look, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell you straight out the gate. I don't got it. I don't got it. I don't have any money to invest in whatever bullshit you got going on. I don't got it. I don't have to say I spent it. I don't have it. That don't mean that I don't have money. It just means that I don't have any money for the bullshit you're bringing to the table right now. This some short take type of discussions. You start pitching to me some bullshit, and I'm sitting over here looking at all the stupid decisions that you make. And then the fact is that I would be the friend that would have given you the proactive advice to not let the shit hit the fan. So when you come to me after the shit hit the fan and ask me to clean that shit up, the first thing I'm going to point out is, didn't I tell you how to fix this beforehand? I did. So then why are you asking me to fix it? Because if you didn't listen to me then, why would you listen to me now? And if you're not going to listen to me later, then why will I fix the situation for you now? Because you won't learn anything if I don't let you fix the situation for yourself, which ultimately means that I will continue to enable you to fail because I am not allowing you to experience the responsibilities of your actions. And that's one of the hardest things that we have to understand, is that a lot of times, like Spider-Man, everybody gets one. So if you got a friend that made a bad decision, you might want to help them out once. But after that, and typically I would tell you to draw it up as a contract with the interest-bearing scenario with no extended time limit, where they're supposed to give you a little bit of money every day or every month or every week until such time as they paid you back, but they cannot borrow from you again until they have paid the debt in full with interest, where you're making a profit off of helping a friend out, because that is how you will have a specific budget. Remember, I told you guys that you can have over 8,000 financial institutions in America. If you have a specific bank account dedicated to lending money to your friends. Now, if you have a specific bank account dedicated to lending money to your friends, and you lend money to your friend and your friend is paying you back with interest, and you take the money that friend pays you back with interest over however long a period of time it takes, once they've covered the debt in full, you put that money into the lend money to a friend account. Then when a friend comes to borrow money, that's the capital that is accessible for the loan. Just like if you went to Amscot and borrowed money from a friend and or borrow money from Amscot, and Amscot's like, sure, you can borrow up to $500, and you just got to give us $550. And it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to give us back that $550. You can't ask us for another dollar till you give us the $550. But once you give us the $550, you can borrow another $500. It's the same type of dynamic. You could say, hey, if you want to borrow $1,000 from me, you got to give me $1,200 back. But until you give me $1,200, you can't come and borrow another dollar from me. And that stops them from asking you for money, because if they know that you're going to profit off of their fuck up, they're really going to think twice about asking you for money. But the discretionary funds that you have to lend to a friend that is specifically in the loan bank account, that is the limits of how much you're willing to help a friend. So if they start asking you for money that exceeds that limitation, hey, I can't help you, friend. Because your emergency funds off to the side, your retirement funds over here, your vacation funds over here. Remember, I told you last weekend, the mini retirement plan where you like trip to Tahiti, that's a specific bank account. You're not tapping into them funds. So if this person needs something, it's the loan money to a friend fund. And if that fund don't got what you need, I can't help you. All I got in that account is like $1,200, because that's what you gave me back the last time you borrowed money. And I'm not trying to go no further than that. Steven said, to be honest, you can help a friend that helps you many times. Oh no, the fact is that if I borrow from you when I don't have it, and you borrow from me when you don't have it, and we're back and forth with one another, we can look after one another like that. I'm not saying don't help out a friend ever. I'm saying when it's one direction borrowing, when you're the one that's always catching the shortcomings of the other person. I know there's been plenty of times where I've had a friend where if I needed something, I could call him and I could get it from him. But I also know that not only do I get it back to him, I get it back to him with interest off of my own merit. He don't ask for it with interest. I give it back to him with interest. And if it takes longer for me to pay him back than I would prefer, I give him even more than that, because I know that if in the event that I needed something from him, I could call him and he would be the one to get it from me before anybody else. Likewise, he can call me, and if I got it at the time that he called me, I'm not asking well, I'm gonna ask a few questions, but I'm not gonna ask no definitive, do you really think I'm gonna give it to you kind of questions. I'll actually put up for him. I'll cover there's a lot of times where he'll tell me that he needs something, like when I was helping him do his taxes, and he needed, I think, $200 to express ship, $230, I think it was, to express ship the taxes. He got a return off of his taxes more than 10 times the amount of money that I had paid for his taxes to be filed express through TurboTax. Now, after I did not give me the money back, do I care? No, because what, 2 or 3 months after that, he had to spend all the money. I called him. I needed him to do me a favor that would have come out of the money that he would have gave me back. So at the end of the day, you do have those individuals where if y'all help each other out when each other needs it, y'all passing the same stack of cash back and forth between one another like a buffer, and that's reasonable. But what about that cousin that's always on hard times and always come to you when they don't have enough? What about that family member? What about that spouse? What about those kids? Kids always want something from you, but they don't never contribute to the situation. You got to fuss, argue, ground them, give them whoopings and everything like that to get them to be helpful around the house. But then when they need something stupid, that it's the world is ending kind of situation, because GTA 6 about to be released and I ain't got a PS5. So you give me a PS5 and GTA 6 and PlayStation Online would cost like $1,100 for what? And then you got to ask yourself, well, how am I benefiting from one directional lending? See what I'm saying? So I said, if you do got people in your network that's one directional lending, tax them. Turn a profit off that shit. Sure. I'll lend to you on merit, but you're going to pay me back with interest before I give you another dollar. That way I'm not forever giving you money. I'm going to get it back, and I'm going to get back more. And then if you ever need something from me, I can use the capital that you gave back to me as the limit of how much I'm going to give you. So if they've been borrowing from you for 10 years, you should have $5,000 or $10,000 worth of capital that you can lend to them, because they've been paying you back with interest for 10 years. Believe it or not. Technically, that's considered taxable income, but outside of the contract you have between you and your friend, there is no other paper trail, because they are probably going to be giving it to you in cash. And you're probably going to have to document it in a ledger and provide them with a receipt, because if in the event that they ever don't pay you back, if you wanted to take legal action and collect your dividends, you can. But because y'all friends, you might not, but you also not going to lend them nothing else until they pay you back. That's the other thing. But that's not today's show. But these are the things that we talk about. We talk about ways for you to organize and structuralize how you look. He said, let me borrow $1. All right, I'll let you borrow $1 for $1.75. And then as soon as you give me that $1.75 back, we can talk about you borrowing $2. That's how I'm gonna roll. I'm not gonna lend money for a favor. So, let me give you $5,000, and then you'll clean my house or something like that. Hell nah. Ain't gonna work. We gotta do reasonable balance, because it's not gonna be equal. It's gonna have to be reasonably balanced. So that's why I give you guys the personal advice to help you guys make and improve the way you guys do things with the people in your network, because it ultimately protects yourself. Because if you stretch yourself too thin and your well runs dry, you suffer. I ain't saying be stingy about your resources, but if you give out all your resources, what do you have for you? A lot of us from Gen X and some millennials have that. I'll give my last dollar to those that I love and I'm loyal to. But if that's your last dollar and you need $5, then how the fuck you gonna eat? Folks that are hood rich or hood rich because they put effort into each individual person in their neighborhood. And then when they don't have something, they can pass by those exact same people in their neighborhood and talk about the things that they need. And those people will go and get them what they need. So while you don't have a dollar to your name, you never doing without, because you have reciprocation in your society, your neighborhood, where you gave rise to folks when you had a car. Now that you don't have a car, everybody trying to give you a ride. You was buying groceries for folks when you had extra money, and now that you don't have enough money to buy groceries, they buying groceries and feeding your kids and shit like that. You was cutting their grass back in the day, they walking your dog today. Feel me? But it requires reciprocation, because if you take care of your society and your society says thank you and walk away, your ass is broke. See what I'm saying? The only reason why charities work is because people donate money to a charity in order for the charity to take that money and do something for somebody else, where the person that's receiving does not have to reciprocate to the charity. But think about how the charity is self-funded by the founder until society starts funding the charity. If the founder runs out of money, the charity runs dry. If society stopped giving to the charity runs dry. But as long as you're giving back to the charity that's given to society, the charity can always give charity to those in need of that charity. And that's the exact same mentality that you have to have with your finances. But we're going to be touching base on getting your understanding of dating profiles and the different apps and what they're supposed to be about today. So make sure that y'all like and subscribe, because we talk about a lot of stuff on the show. And today I actually do not have an engagement after this. So as long as it takes me to cover it, we're going to cover it today. So y'all going to love that. But I'm not going to waste y'all time. Just note that today was Friday, the last day that you could have got on for the AG Mortgage Investment Opportunity, AGNC Real Estate Investment Trust, and Orchid Island Real Estate Investment Trust. These trusts, all three of them, will be sold on Monday. That's the next trading day. Trading starts at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and ends at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to sell those trusts. If you have extra capital that comes in between now and Tuesday, you want to buy the stock Tuesday, and the stock is Two Harbors. It's a real estate investment trust, and you want to buy into Two Harbors for Tuesday. And the ex-dividend date, and Tuesday should be the 2nd. The ex-dividend date is the 3rd. If you do not already own Two Harbors by the 3rd, then you're missing out. Okay. But if you do own Two Harbors by the 3rd, then you'll be getting, that's a quarterly stock, you'll be getting additional payouts. He said, no, man, I be see, from the time you jump on until the time you tell me you got to go, I mention it at least once every day this week. So I understand that you've been in and out, and you will catch some of them the next time. But I've been saying all week, we got to start buying. We got to buy by Friday. I said it on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We got to buy it by Friday, in the business day on Friday, because ex-dividend dates are Saturday and Sunday. And if you're not on the books by the end of business day on Friday, you're not going to be counted on Saturday, because no trades happen on the weekends and no trades happen on the holidays. And then the next stock that we're going to be trading on is Two Harbors, which is on Wednesday of next week. And then after that, I think it is Arbor Realty. I got a calendar of these. And I told y'all that on my next off time, after I finish dealing with some of the other stuff that I'm stacking on, that I was going to because that's two Harbors you have to own by the 2nd, selling it on the 4th. And then the next one, the week after that, is Global Net. That's going to be the next one that we're going to buy into on the 9th, or by the 9th. And then we're going to sell it on the 12th. So Global Net should have an ex-dividend date of Friday the 11th, which means that if you pick it up between the 9th and the 10th of July, then you will have Global Net. You can sell Two Harbors on Friday the 4th and have plenty of time for the 2-day layover to, no, you can't buy it right now. No, you have to buy it. You had to have bought it before the end of business day at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which if you're in California, would have been 1 p.m. Eastern Pacific Standard Time. It would have been 1 p.m. Pacific Time, because anything that you buy now is going to go on the record for Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 6:30 a.m. California time. So, which is one of the reasons why day traders in California are up trading at 4 o'clock in the morning. Because when you wake up at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning in California, 3 hours later, it's 11 o'clock. You got 2 hours to get your trades in before the stock market closes in New York. So, you know, if you got to go to work, by the time you get off from work, by the time you take your lunch break, the stock market in New York then close. Your trades ain't going on the books till tomorrow. So that's why I tell you guys on a regular basis to buy those stocks. So since you missed out on this weekend stocks, don't worry about it. Make note of when they're due, and I'll give you guys a rundown of the list this coming week, this coming Tuesday, because we're buying Two Harbors by Tuesday, and then we're going to be the following week buying Global Net by Wednesday. So I will be giving you the list of stocks that we're planning on buying for July, and I'll be curating the list to make sure any new stocks that I had pulled up about a month ago, I'm going to add those in because those are all quarterlies, and I'll be able to let you know which ones can get got throughout the month of July. But after we finish with Global Net, we're going to then be going into Arbor Residential, and that'll put us back on track for AGNC and Orchid Island for the end of the month. So I'm definitely going to be letting you guys know which ones. Now, Orchid Island is the cheapest one to buy into, most volatile, and is at its lowest point on the 23rd of the month. So I'm going to be buying in on Orchid Island on the 23rd of the month. AGNC Investment Real Estate Investment Trust, AGNC is going to be steadily inclining. So it's more stable than Orchid Island. But if you're trying to buy low and sell high, if you buy on the 23rd and then sell on the 1st, you're more likely to not only get the dividends, but also get an increase on the sale. Arbor Realty is kind of a steady incline as well. So if you buy into it reasonably early, by the time you sell it, you're going to also be on an increase as well. So those are some steady ones. And then you just got to manage your funds. But sometimes, because you got quarterlies, sometimes the quarterlies stack on top of your monthlies. And that kind of gets in the way of your rotation strategy. And I want to make sure that you know which ones have the most value per dollar. And that way you can either put all of your money on the one that has the most return for the lowest investment, or if you want to spread your money around and get each one of them just in case the value drops on one of them before you sell. And then if you sell, you can sell and keep the rotation going. Or if you're dividing all your money up, you can buy and hold something until the stock goes back up and then sell it after the stock goes back up. So you might not sell it right away because it dipped $1 or $2. Like for example, Two Harbors dropped $3 per share since the last time I bought into it, but I did a buy and hold. So even though it dropped $3 a share from when I originally bought into it, I don't plan on selling that stock. But if I was going to sell that stock, I would be losing $3 per share. If I had 300 shares to lose, I'd be losing, you know what I'm saying, $300. But if I bought into it after the $3 dip and it went back up $3, then I would be gaining $3 per share. And if I sold 100 shares at that point, I'd be making a $300 profit. So I could wait until the stock goes back up and then buy in. And then sell. And then when the stock goes down, I can buy in. So if you're following these stocks, you're following the trends, and you're looking like, oh, on this day, it has this behavior pattern. That helps you set yourself up for success so that you have the ability to make more off of the buy and selling trade and still make capital off of the dividends, which gives you more money to invest, because you can take your principal and your profit and add it to your new principal for the next trade. So you're expanding your investment power faster than just taking a few $100s out of your check once a month and putting it into the stock option. And that's one of the reasons why I started doing the dividend rotation strategy, because I'm like, shoot, we can flex on some cash right now. And there are going to be some times where you're going to take an L, but out of the year, if you would have put it in the bank, you would have had 0.064% interest, which is less than half a cent per dollar if you left it in a bank. And most CDs and most other standard option gives you like 5% or less. So if you're putting it in a reasonable stock option, real estate investment trust typically gives you between 15 and 22%. And if you're using dividend rotation strategy and you ultimately end up walking out with 75% of real-time activeness, where hypothetically you could get 168% if you hit all of your marks without fail. But in real time, if you drew back 68% or 70%, you're still getting far more off of your portfolio than what you would have gotten just leaving it somewhere and waiting for the account to mature. So I just tell you, hey, if you want to trade. And I'm going to tell you where to put the money, what stocks to look into, and we'll be going through the list to make sure that you guys stay on top of that list. So Steven, since you wasn't up to date on the list and you wasn't up to date on the times, I'll make sure that I add it to either Sunday or it might be Sunday show. So stay tuned every day of the week, either Sunday show or Saturday show or Tuesday show. I'm going to actually give you that updated list of all of the stocks that we're trading on and what the share price is, the ex-dividend dates are, and all that other stuff, so that you'll know. There's like, I think we originally had 8, and I think I added 10 more. So we might have about 20 stocks that we include, or less than 20 stocks is the top 20 lowest costing, highest paying dividend stocks that we're rotating through for the year. And you'll be able to follow those, and you'll be able to add them to your calendar. And what I typically do is I typically mark the date a couple of days before the ex-dividend date that I must buy in by that time. And then the day after the ex-dividend date, I can sell at any point after that. And that gives me a reminder on my cell phone to let me know, hey, buy this stock by this day. And if I can pick it up by that day, I'm good. If I'm buying it a couple of days before the ex-dividend date, even if the ex-dividend date is on a weekend, if I'm buying it 2 days before the weekend, I'm buying it on Friday when the ex-dividend date is on a Sunday, because I'm buying it 2 days before the ex-dividend date. I'm still catching it before it closes, so I don't miss it like you missed it this week. And that's a good way to stay ahead. And I learned that from my procrastination strategy when I was telling you guys about 6 months ago about giving yourself a deadline in advance of the actual deadline so that you're never late. And this is one of the reasons why. So let's go ahead and dive into today's discussion about these dating apps, because I know a lot of people came to the show for that. And they were like, wait, I thought we were talking about dating. This man talking about stocks and making money. Hold up. We talk about both. But since I started talking about that and Steve was like telling me about those trades, I'm like, hold on, let me give him some details, because this is some valuable shit. And then we're going to update y'all on that, on the stocks and everything like that next week. And for anybody that's hard up right now, while the countries are warring with one another, trades suck, tariffs are high, inflation is high, Canada's taxing us and not selling American shit, everybody's losing their job, they're kicking Mexicans out of the country. Right now is the best time to put your money into the stock option, because all the rich people are taking their money out the stock and putting it into gold and silver and other precious metals to keep their money from losing value, because they bought in when the stock market was good, and now the stock market sucks. So they're moving their money to keep their money where it was, playing it safe. And just like when the stock market crashed during COVID, everything went down. And when all the bullshit settles down and everything goes back to normal, where inflation starts going down, tariffs start going down, peace starts happening between the countries, trade starts being more fluent, interest rates go down, sales start going up, and it starts becoming a buyer's market all across every consumer market. That's when those exact same stocks that were barren will be bullish, and you will already be in that stock, and you'll be in the stock when the rich people put their money back. So when your stock that is currently at $6 or $7 a share goes back up to $25, $30, $100, $200, $300 a share, the value of the stock when you bought it is the difference in the profits of that exact same stock if you sell it after the rich people buy back in. Or you could keep it and have a massive quantity of payouts because you bought in when the market sucked. So note to self, buy now while shit sucks, so that when shit gets right, you already have the majority share. Just want y'all to know that. Now, when you get to these dating apps, if you've swiped until your thumb's sore, you've crafted the perfect witty bio, you've had those conversations that start with a little flicker of hope, only to end in the digital abyss of being ghosted. And after all that effort, you're left staring at your phone, thinking the exact same thing night after night. What is wrong with me? But what if I told you the problem isn't you? Because I tell a lot of people this. It's not you. It's a lot of things, but it's not you. It isn't your photos. It's not your opening line. And it's definitely not some fatal flaw in your personality, because they can't tell what your personality is because it's a line of text messages. You haven't even gotten to the video call. The reason you're not finding what you're looking for on these social media dating apps is because you're fishing in the completely wrong pond. You're swimming up a casual backyard barbecue in a full tuxedo, or trying to find your future spouse at a foam party. Okay? The biggest mistake people make in online dating has nothing to do with their profile. It's that they're on an app that is completely misaligned with what they actually want. So today we're going to fix that. We're going to break down which apps are for the fun, which are for forever, and how to finally put yourself in the right digital space to meet the people you actually want to meet. So let's be honest, the world of online dating can feel like a cruel joke. It promises connections, but usually just delivers burnout. In fact, a recent study shows that 45% of users felt more frustrated than hopeful on these platforms. So you pour all this energy into creating a profile. Sometimes you don't, because you get tired of creating profiles and you have this very standard, very empty profile for the longest period of time because you're tired of making profiles. But when you decide that you really want to get this right, you put a lot of effort into your profile. You spend a lot of time into the perfect photos. You can only put up so many photos on certain platforms. So you're trying to pick the right photo out of a collection of seemingly perfect photos. You're trying to get the right bio. You're trying to get the right backstory. You're trying to put all of the intricate details about you that you would consider a flex, so that people could be more attracted to your platform. And after this, swiping for hours and trying to make a conversation, only to find that the people you match with want something completely different. You're looking for a real long-term relationship, but you're wading through a sea of profiles that just scream here for a good time. Some of them literally have it written in their bio. Or maybe it's the other way around. You're just looking for some casual fun, low stakes date, but you keep matching with people who are planning your wedding after 3 messages. This disconnect is the single biggest reason why modern dating feels so frustrating. It's not about your worth, it's about mismatched intentions. Using the wrong app is like having a language barrier. You could be the most interesting person in the room, but if everyone else is speaking a different language, you're never going to connect. The dating app market has exploded, and every single platform has its own unique ecosystem, its own culture, and its own unwritten rules. If you don't understand the ecosystem you're in, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You wouldn't walk into a library and start shooting, right? Well, hopefully not. If you're an American child, you might, but the average person, not really. And you wouldn't go to a rock concert to find a quiet place to read. So why are you on an app known for casual flings when you're looking for commitment? So let's stop the madness. It's time to get strategic. First, let's talk about the apps built for speed, volume, and casual connections. If your goal is to meet a lot of people, go on some fun dates, fellas, presumably at your expense, and not take things too seriously right now, then this is your territory. The undisputed king of this world is Tinder. Since it launched back in 2012, Tinder has become the definition of online dating, and its reputation is well earned in the hookup culture. With a massive global user base of around 80 million people, it's the go-to app for casual chats, hookups, and short-term dating. Friends with benefits, no commitment situationships, but it's very toxic, especially if you're looking for long-term, permanent relationships, commitment, loyalty, dedication. That's not what you're looking for on Tinder. So if that's what you're looking for, you might want to get off of Tinder. That famous swipe interface makes it incredibly easy and fast to go through potential matches, where this app is the best place for casting the widest net possible. If you just want to get out there, practice your dating skills, and see what happens, Tinder is probably going to be your best bet for that. Then there's Badu. It's hugely popular, especially with a younger crowd. So if you're one of those individuals that is interested in the younger crowd, Badu would be the place to go. And it kind of blends social networking with dating. Badu is all about spontaneous connections, casual dating, and making new friends. So virtual pen pals and frequent hookups, that's what you're pretty much getting off of Badu. It's designed to help you quickly find people nearby for a chat or a last minute date. So, hey, are you busy? You want to go somewhere? Sure, let's go. That's what that app is about. Still not long-term commitment. Doesn't mean that you can't find a long-term relationship off that app. It's just highly unlikely. And we can't forget Plenty of Fish, POF. It's been around for a long time and has a huge user base, and it's mostly used for the casual dating and just chatting with new people. Almost like TikTok, where you're virtually looking at other individuals, or Snapchat, where you're following individuals' virtual feeds. I know that Plenty of Fish is sometimes partnered with Tag, where you get on the same virtual feed where you're communicating with other people on their virtual life. And a lot of people make it a career to get coins and gems and whatever else from the other users while they're going live to make a standard of living off of just the conversation. So you got to be careful with what you're trying to accomplish when you're going to these sites. Now, the trick to actually succeeding on these apps is to understand the vibe. Profiles are usually less detailed and things move fast. People are making snap decisions. This is not the place for a novel about your deepest hopes and dreams. It's about a great photo, a punchy bio, and getting straight to the point. If you're looking for something casual, this is your playground. But if you're looking for something serious, being here will only leave you frustrated. All right, now let's shift gears. If you're tired of the endless swiping and you're looking for genuine long-term relationships, you need to be on an app that's built for that exact purpose. These are the platforms where people expect to put more time and effort, which signals they're serious about finding a partner. And this is going to be true to life, ladies, because fellas are going to be looking at these women's bios. And when the bio is short, certain things that she puts in the bio, you already know this is not going to last long. She didn't even put enough effort into her profile. But we're also going to understand that depending on what they put in a profile are red flags in a bio. So starting off with the platform, and then I'm going to go into telling you guys what are some of the red flags. The champion in this space right now is Hinged. Its motto is literally designed to be deleted, right? And that's crazy. Which tells you everything you need to know about this app. Hinge gets rid of mindless swiping and instead uses a system of prompts and detailed profiles to connect with someone. You have to like or comment on a specific part of their profile, which forces more thoughtful interactions right from the start. Hinge attracts people who are tired of the hookup scene and are genuinely looking for something more, making it a top choice for professionals seeking serious relationships and for the individual who is looking for a more mature audience. In fact, Hinge found that in 2024, which was just last year, likes on text prompts were 47% more likely to result in a date than likes on a photo. Okay. So for those who are even more serious to the point of being marriage minded, there's eHarmony. For over 2 decades, eHarmony has been the go-to for people looking for serious long-term commitment. Its defining feature is that huge compatibility questionnaires that you fill out when you sign up takes a long period of time. The whole system based on psychology and the design to match you on core values and personality, not just photo. It's a big time investment up front. And there's another app similar to eHarmony called Billionaire Match, which is the same thing. It is a profit. It's a pricey investment up front, which naturally weeds out people who aren't serious. You're going to be paying a few $100s for a few months of service in order to communicate with individuals on a platform, which ultimately means that if you're communicating with a free user, they're less dedicated to success than you are because they're not willing to invest in the profile. Also, you have dating platform apps that are a double standard app where a user that is not a member paying for the service can communicate with a member paying for the service, where a lot of the times the traditional female model is to set up a profile and wait until somebody communicates with her. So she uses the app for free and only communicates with the suitors that reach out because they're a paid member. So she knows that the member is serious because he paid for the app to talk to her, but he doesn't know that she's serious because he paid for the app. She didn't pay for the app. Now, you can change your profile search sections to only connect with other individuals to pay for the app so that you can confirm the level of seriousness between you and the other person. So if they're not willing to pay for the app, you're not willing to talk to them. It does limit the number of engagements that you have, but it increases the level of seriousness and success that you get. But you also have to think about the type of platform that you're getting, because the difference between eHarmony and Billionaire Match is certain apps like Billionaire Match is wealthy individuals that are looking for a partner, which you would think fantastic until you're in there with gold diggers, because all the men on the platform are over $100,000 a year men. And unless you're finding and connecting with a platform where this woman is making more money than you, you're more likely to get an individual that is not comfortable with talking about their financial status because they're in the poor scale trying to connect with you. And you could tell, look at the job description, dancer, and no specified education or income level. And that particular type of profile just lets you know she's looking for a provider. But if you find a woman with 3 degrees that's claiming $250,000 a year, she's probably over the age of 40 and legitimately looking for a partner that is not stupid or financially wasteful. So you got to think about what you're getting into when you get on these platforms. Now, another major player is Match.com. As one of the original dating sites, it has a long-standing reputation for helping people find committed relationships. It tends to attract a slightly older crowd that's willing to pay for a subscription, which shows a higher level of commitment to the process. It does cause a little bit of a downturn, because if you're looking for a younger age range, it is harder to find a serious younger age range. So for men that are looking for women that are still under the age of menopause, it's less likely to find those. But if you're a man that is looking for a companion with no interest in, or it's not a deal breaker that she's not in the child rearing ages, then you can find you a very good quality woman that is over the age of 35, over the age of 45, and find you that perfect match, seemingly perfect match. Ladies are clearly able to find that perfect match, because any woman that is at any age can go and find a man that's over the age of 35, that's financially stable and is looking for a partner. And if she finds that guy, he could be her age, he could be younger than her, he could be older than her, because the women's preference is only based on the man's financial status, his stability. The man's preference can buffer between whether or not he still wants to be a father, or whether or not he's retired out of the dad phase. So that's the difference between whether or not a woman over the age of 25 or 30 is different. He said, just relapse. Special shout out to Ricky. I don't know why you would be going to that particular site through Twitter. Unless you're talking about like relapsing from Twitter itself. If you're relapsing from Twitter itself, just note, Ricky, Twitter's on here too, because this is a multi-platform podcast here. Now, another one that is really good to be on is, because hold on real quick before I go to the next dating site. Twitter is usually about news. And over the past 6 months, Twitter has really picked up my channel, because before Twitter wasn't hearing it. I think after I talked positive about Elon Musk a couple times, I really started gaining traffic. And now I'm getting a steady stream of traffic from Twitter. But and it also has to do with the fact that I pay for the membership, because I have to pay for the membership in order to live stream. So there's that. But the thing is that specific types of news is attractive to Twitter fans. TikTok fans are the younger generation. They're the kids that are under 20, they're under 25, they're under 18. They're doing the TikTok dances and the hurt yourself or embarrass yourself challenges, so that if you're trying to do gamers, people that are playing video games, if you get on TikTok, you're more likely to not get a crowd of individuals that's following you unless you're dealing with a controversial topic. But TikTok is very cautious about controversial topics. So if it's sensitive in nature, they're going to put you in a dark spot on the platform. YouTube is starting to be more liberal, but YouTube is for the older crowd. YouTube is for individuals that are over the age of 35. You still got some individuals that are between 25 and 35, but more often than not, you're going to have more followers on YouTube that are over the age of 35. So middle-aged individuals or individuals getting closer to middle age. Kick, Kick is a private platform, pay as you go, and Twitch is for gamers. But Twitch also has a wide range of viewers, but it's typically stemmed towards gamers. So once an individual who usually strolls through a bunch of novel and unorthodox podcasts and gaming playthroughs and other such, and they end up stumbling across this particular channel on Twitch, make sure you guys like, subscribe as you follow through. They come to find out, oh snap, I can learn about some money instead of watching these people spend a bunch of money on fucking Fortnite. $5,000 on Fortnite, when you could have put $5,000 on a stock option that could potentially buy you a house in a number of years. I don't know. So back to this dating platform. You got to know which platform you're going for and what you're trying to get off of that platform. There's Coffee Meets Bagel. That's the name of the app, Coffee Meets Bagel. This app takes quality over quantity approach. Instead of drowning you in endless profiles, it sends you a handful of potential matches or bagels every day at noon. This slows the whole process down and encourages you to be more thoughtful about your choices, making it perfect for anyone who wants a serious relationship without the swiping fatigue. Using these apps requires a different strategy. It's about being thoughtful, authentic, and detailed. People here are actually reading your prompts and looking for signs of a real connection. This is where you do write about your hopes and dreams, your non-negotiable expectations and behaviors, your preferences of your partner's behavior. This is where you put not your resume, but the job criteria, so that the person who's looking to fill that role can look at the job criteria and see if they want to jump in on this. Beyond the big names, there's a growing world of niche dating apps made for specific communities and interests, such as Asian dating apps, Christian Filipino, and other such dating apps, where you here in America can match with country folks, Black folks, white folks, Christians, Jews. They have an Afro-American app, Asians, Thailand, Russian, Hungarian. There's an app for just about every culture, for just about every nationality, and for just about every country. It just depends on what you're looking for. Using a niche app can be incredibly effective because you're immediately connecting with people who already share a huge part of your identity or lifestyle, or in some situations, your personal preference. So if, regardless of your race, you're interested in a country white woman, there's an app specifically for that. If, for regardless of your race, you're interested in a Black man, there's an app for that. It's crazy. For lesbians, bisexuals, and queer women, Her is a standout choice. I didn't know that until I researched that. It's a safe, inclusive community space that's more than just a dating app, with features for finding friends and checking out local LGBTQ plus events. For daters over 50, Silver Singles is tailored specifically for finding serious relationships. It understands what mature singles are looking for and focuses on compatibility for people in a similar stage of life. And then you have the hyper exclusive apps like Raya, which is an invite only platform for people in creative industries. I'm gonna dig deeper into Raya because that description is one step away from OnlyFans. However, it is supposed to be an invite only platform. So how do you get started on the platform if nobody invited you to the platform? I wonder. I'm gonna let y'all know. But if you belong to a specific group or have a particular interest that central to who you are, checking out a niche app can be a total game changer. It filters the dating pool for you, which seriously increases your chances of finding someone who just gets your world. Okay, so you've picked the right pond, but even in the right pond, you'll get ignored if you're using the wrong bait. Your profile is making classic mistakes that are actively costing you high quality matches. So let's fix that today by exposing 5 simple tricks to transform your bio and photos, attracting the premium dates you've been looking for. Okay. Now, let's start with trick number 1. The irresistible smile. Now, that's probably going to require some of us who have a standard bitch face to really happy and smile and humble. You might actually have to massage those cheek muscles a little bit and get them active because you haven't not frowned in like 30 years. You probably don't know what a smile looks like. You know, it might hurt to have your cheek muscles move because you haven't used them in so long. But working on that irresistible smile, which also for those individuals who are not satisfied with the way their teeth look, you might want to have a smirk instead of a smile. You might want to adjust your face at a certain angle and utilize that smile where you have like a half a smirk and you show the profile photo of the half a smirk so that you're not showing the whole smile because your whole smile is creepy looking. Figure it out, but get that picture, because this isn't just friendly advice. It's a statistical cheat code. A recent survey found that a smile is a very first thing 40% of people notice on a profile photo, ranking higher than your bio or hobbies. And it instantly makes you seem more attractive, friendly, and trustworthy. Is it how many people watch this on Twitter? Well, I have a few hundred a day on both of the 2 major platforms and a little under a few hundred a day on Twitch, especially during a time of day when Donald Trump is actively right now talking about going to war. So while there is a trending topic about world disaster, there's a few hundred people who could give 2 shits about that, and they're on the show right now watching. Unfortunately, the ticker doesn't actually show all of the people that are actually actively here watching the platform. It shows the individuals that come in and go out, and it counts some of them and doesn't count most of them. And because one of the issues with the counter is that people come onto the show and they're watching. They're not interacting, which I encourage you guys to interact. But then the issue is that commercials hit. And when the commercial hits, the counter considers them have left, but they didn't go anywhere. Then when they skip past the ad and they come back to the show, then they're back on the show. So sometimes it counts them as they left, and sometimes it doesn't count that they came back, but they never went anywhere. And because they're not actively commenting in the comment section, it's not actively recognizing and registering every single user that's watching the platform. But there's quite a few of you guys here. I can see the counter in triple digits right now. And so there's a lot of you guys here. There's a lot of you here. And he says, smiling is for liberals. Look, hold on. Let me put y'all this other comment up here. So make sure that y'all like and subscribe. And if you have the notion to join Sean here in commenting, by all means, if you're on Twitch or Twitter, it is an interactive podcast. So if you guys comment like Steve did earlier today from Twitch, you guys can get your comments in, and I'll give you guys reasonable answers to your reasonable questions, as long as they're reasonable. And he says smiling is for liberals. Well, not so much so. Smiling is for everyone. I do believe there are some dating platforms that are specifically for political parties. And if you're trying to get that Donald Trump phone and download a political party dating app, you can make yourself exclusively live inside of a political atmosphere. But I definitely would disagree with that, because you need diversity in your life. Specifically, if you are a liberal, you should find yourself a conservative, because that helps you find balance, and vice versa. Specifically, if you have a specific religious belief, you should find somebody who has a contradictory to your religious belief, as long as you guys can negotiate the difference between the two, because you learn something new from difference. They say that opposites attract, and that's because things don't get boring so quickly, because you guys come from different walks of life. If you find a mirror image of yourself, you get fucking bored when you're by yourself, right or wrong. So if you get bored by yourself, if you find somebody that has the exact same interests as you and has the exact same dislikes as you, when you're bored, they're bored too. Now y'all are bored together. And if you can find yourself bored for extended periods of time, a few days, a few weeks, a couple months, when you're not at work, you're in a relationship where your partner is bored at the exact same time, you're going to find that the relationship is boring during that time. But if you're opposites, when you're bored, your partner has something interesting that they want to do. So since you have absolutely nothing else to do, if you're not selfish, you'll go and figure out what your partner's got going on and potentially find something new that interests you. Likewise, when your partner's bored, you've got something interesting you want to do. And the same applies to them. Which also means it's less likely that you guys will run out of interesting things to do if you find somebody that is not exactly like you. Now, I'm not saying specifically hunt for the polar opposite, but don't reject it either. But the data is clear. Adding genuine smiles to your photos can boost your attractiveness rating by 22.3%. It's also been noted that women can find themselves attracting more individuals by showing cleavage. A lot of them show butt shots. They got the back shots up there. They're showing the back shots, showing profiles where you can see their curves on the front and the back. A lot of women are out of 5 photos having at least one bathing suit photo. So regardless of how conservatively dressed they are in some of their photos or liberally dressed in some of their photos, they will also make sure that they're either in a bathing suit or a bra and panties outfit at least one of the 5 photos, which attracts more responses to their profile. For women, that's going to draw more negative attention than positive attention. So instead of finding more suitors, you will find, even on a dating platform, more hookup culture, which I recommend, ladies. If you're trying to find a man that wants you for your personality and wants you for your skill set, you should not put anything that shows of the knee or below the neckline, no belly button showing, and no back shots. Because that takes all of the matter of fact, it should really be either a mug shot, because that's like this area here, or if you're going to have a full head to toe photo, it is like you facing the camera directly. It's whatever kind of pose that you want, but facing the camera directly, where from head to toe, they can see you the way they would have seen you if they would have been walking towards you, to kind of get an idea of what you would look like if they were trying to find you in public. But no man sniffs your butt before they come and talk to you. So you should not have your butt in the photo where you're looking back at it. That should not be a photo that actually displays a level of low class and low quality, because women of moderate to higher value typically will have some type of prom dress or evening gown on, and they might have a 30-degree turn on the camera, which still shows the majority of their profile. So I'm talking about like this. That's it. That's it. You don't see their back on either side. You don't see their rear on either side. You might see one thigh more than the other thigh, and that's about it. Y'all got to really think about that. So make sure that first photo is clear, well-lit headshots. So you don't really want to have like this bright, if you got a shiny forehead like I do, you don't want to have like a bright light shining on your face. You want to have a little bit of a contrast, but you might want to have the lighting angled in a certain way where it gets your whole frontal, where there's no shadowing and shading that is less than flattering to your appeal. Get you a well-lit headshot of you looking at the camera and smiling. You need that. Trick 2, the full body, which is what I was talking about, the full body advantage. The second most crucial photo is a full body shot, specifically for the ladies, but it does help for the men as well. Profiles that include at least one full body photo gets a staggering 203% more messages than those without. It shows confidence and gives a more complete and authentic sense of who you are, which builds trust right away. So these two photos are the type of photos that definitely attract individuals. So how you dress, out of the photos that you have, you would want to have a casual photo, a professional photo, a profile shot, a full frontal. Those are like the primary 5 photos that you want to have. The 5th shot could vary. It could be a relaxed hobbies, or for those women that like to throw at least one bathing suit photo in there, or a fella that wants to show himself leaning up against one of his cars or something like that. I don't recommend showing off your resources on your profile photos, but some people really have nothing left to give but that, and that's what they'll do. But you could also reinforce it with a different type of attire, like evening wear versus morning wear, stuff to that effect. But through those 5 photos, a person can determine the type of style of clothes that you wear, whether you're formal, whether you're conservative and modest, or if you're informal and liberal or scantily clad. And they can identify what you got going on. One thing I've noticed is that most people who have tattoos make sure that they take a photo that shows their tattoo if their tattoo is in an appropriate position to be photoed, which lets you know that they got a photo. So if they got a tattoo on their arm, or if it's on their neck or something like that, they take a photo with the tattoo in the photo so that you know that they're dating a person with a tattoo. I did not realize that was an unwritten rule, that people with tattoos put their tattoo in the photo. People with piercings, not just their ears pierced, but people with piercings, nose rings, lip rings, eye rings, they typically take at least one photo with all of their piercings in. And then they will take another photo with the piercings that they wear the most. They might take a photo without any piercings, indicating that they don't wear the piercings all the time. But by having a majority of the 3 out of 5 photos are full of facial piercings, you know that this person is going to be wearing piercings more often than not. It gives you the ability to determine whether or not you want to engage that particular type of style. Trick number 3, specificity secret. Vague profiles are boring. I love to travel means nothing and everything at the same time. Because when a woman says that she loves to travel and she's looking for a generous man, okay, she is specifically indicating that she is a gold digger. And I've said this on the show before. The women are going to be upset with this, but that is the message that is being received, even though you are not a gold digger when you write that up there. People who claim that they love to travel are not always people who travels. Because if you love to travel, the 5 photos that you put on your profile should be you in 5 different countries if you love to travel. So you might have one photo of you canoeing in the Alps, or not the Alps, but like somewhere where canoeing occurs in like Colorado or some shit. And then you're mountain climbing, then you're skydiving, then you're having lunch at a McDonald's in Switzerland, and you're at the Eiffel Tower. So if I see Prague, Germany, Hungary, you know what I'm saying, Russia, or like South Africa, and then Sweden, and then I see in the bio, I love to travel. Well, fuck yeah, you'd have been at least 5 different countries on your profile already. But if all you have is 5 photos, 3 in your bathroom, 2 in your bedroom, and you say I love to travel, you're really saying I wish I could travel and I can't afford it, so I would love to meet a man that could pay for my travel, which indicates gold digger. So take I love to travel completely out of your bio. Even if you subconsciously would love to travel, I would love to travel, but no man puts in his profile, I love to travel. They might say I have to travel for work, but they're not going to say I love to travel. But I'm on a mission to find the best taco in every city I visit. That might indicate that you like to eat food, makes you a foodie. It doesn't imply that you're looking for somebody to take you traveling, but whenever you go to a different city, you're looking for tacos. But you're saying that because you like tacos. Now, in this bio, it would also say Austin is next on the list, meaning that you actively are traveling, you actively are going places. So Austin is in Texas. If their bio says that they're in California, they've got photos of them in New York, Georgia, Florida. I'm looking for the best taco and I'm going to Austin, Texas next. That implies that they like to travel. This is an instant conversation starter. Being specific showcases your personality and gives people an easy hook to start a message. Studies have shown that original, less cliche profiles are perceived as more intelligent and humorous, which directly boosts attractiveness. So think about that. Also, putting in your profile, ladies, I'm looking for a generous man, gold digger, because good men are inherently generous. Good men are going to give, and truthfully, bad men are inherently generous too, because guys who believe that it ain't tricking if you got it will generously give you enough money to convince you to compromise your morals and beliefs. So if a guy that has enough capital to offer you a briefcase full of cash to act like an OnlyFans girl for one night only, if you're willing to do it, that's still generous. It's not appropriate, but it's still generous. Now, a man that is dating to marry and spends 41% of his income on you, when we recognize that 23% of that is your standard of living, and we recognize that the other 17% or so is impressing you in the relationship, that those men are generous by default. So putting that you're looking for a generous man in your relationship, that's not what you're looking for, because that's guaranteed. Women who say that they're looking for a man that's not controlling, you're looking for the lack of responsibility and the lack of accountability from your partner. You're not looking for a leader, because a leader is going to control the direction of the group. You're looking for a follower. You're looking for a person that's going to go with the flow and allow you to throw caution to the wind, make mistakes, but clean up those mistakes after you. And that's not what a responsible man is going to be looking for. When you start giving certain context clues in your bio, that sounds like you want to be a sugar baby. That's not okay, because you're looking for a sugar daddy. That's not okay. So a good man that would have ultimately given you that anyway, you're going to deter that man based off of the type of things that you're putting into your bio. What you're looking for in a man is a driven man, a dedicated man, a devoted man. You're looking for loyalty. You're looking for honesty. You're looking for transparency. You're looking for partnership. You're looking for long-term companionship. These are the things that a man's going to be like, okay, what's up? You're looking for traditional family values. That's what a man's going to be like, okay, what's up? I'm a reach out to this one. You're looking for the characteristics of a man that prioritizes your best interest. That's the closest thing to asking for a generous man. He prioritizes his family. He prioritizes his girlfriend, wife, family. That's the closest thing that you put to, I'm looking for a generous man. Now, the guy that jumps in on that, he gonna fit that description. A guy that's looking for a one-night stand is like, nah, that's not me, bro. Make sure that if you're looking for the real deal Holyfield, you got to make sure that you're putting words like long-term commitment, permanent relationships, marriage driven, fiscally responsible. You know, because a guy that's not that, they're not going to give you the time of day, which deters you from all of the guys that can't find back page 2, because there is a back page 2 out there right now. And there's a local X-listers out there right now too, which is like the Craigslist of hookup culture. Trick number 4, the 70-30 bio. This 70-30 bio formula is where your bio should be about 70% about you and 30% about what you're looking for, who you are looking for. But here's the key. Keep it positive. Don't list what you hate. Your profile is not the place to vent about your ex or list all the things you don't want in a person. It should be an upbeat, confident snapshot of who you are. Research shows that negative language can be a marker of deception and instantly lowers your appeal. A positive profile attracts positive people. Trick number 5, prompts that actually start conversations. On apps like Hinge, prompts are your secret weapon. But data shows that 27% of all prompts answers are just one word. Don't be that person. The best prompts, like the way to win me over is, or we'll get along if. These are conversation starters. End your answer with a question, an open-ended question, or a playful challenge. An open-ended question is a question that cannot be simply answered with yes or no. If you ask a yes or no question, you're going to get a simple yes, yep, uh-huh, or a thumbs up. But you're not going to get a response. An open-ended question would be like, the way to win me over is through cooking. What kind of foods would you cook to win me over? Right? Now, the person who responds to that is going to go through the list of things that they cook. They may pick their specific go-to recipe and go into detail about that particular type of recipe. Then, if I was going to rebuttal on that topic, I would be able to go back into that conversation and compare the type of recipe that's my go-to recipe. Or if we'll get along, and pick something that I would like to do, if you would like to do that with me as well, and then ask what kind of activity that they would find most appealing to them. Now that the person who responds to your prompt is going to tell you a story about the activity that they would best prefer. That keeps you with an active, progressive conversation. If you end your answer with a question or playful challenge, this invites your response and makes it easy for someone to slide into a conversation instead of just liking your photo and moving on, or simply thumbs up in your response and moving on. Navigating this world can be tough, and everyone has a story. And I definitely want to hear yours. I want you guys to make sure that you drop your comments below and tell me the wildest experiences that you've had because of an app mismatch. And we typically cover a lot of these mismatches on the shows on Sundays when people have had these bad first encounters or moderately long encounters that fizzled out because the dating apps that they were utilizing wasn't going the way they were hoping they would go. So I want to know, was it hilarious, the misunderstanding, or a complete disaster of the first encounter? We want to learn from each other and be capable of growing. And if this guide helps you figure out where you should be swiping, do me a favor and continue hitting those like buttons on every show. Subscribe to the channel on both YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And I'm here to help you guys win the game. You guys matched up. So we want to start with circling back with where we started. So if you've been feeling like a failure on dating apps, I hope that you guys see now that you've probably just been using the wrong tools for the job. You're not broken. Your strategy was. There's no best dating app, only the best dating app for you and what you are looking for right now, which can change if your interests also change. So while you're into the hookup culture, frequent flyer nights out, stuff to that effect, you might find yourself successful in certain dating apps. But if in the event that you end up changing your interest and starting to look for long-term companionship, you cannot use the same dating app that you use for the hookup culture and the club culture to find a long-term companion, because that app is keenly tuned for the hookup culture. You would have to switch apps to an app that is specifically looking for long-term commitments. Now, those individuals that are looking for long-term, those individuals that are looking for one-night stands and the hookup culture, you cannot be on a long-term dating app trying to find individuals that are looking for one-night stands, because you're also going to hit a wall. It doesn't mean that you're not going to find some. It just means that it's going to be harder for you to find. So finding love or fun or whatever it is that you want isn't about changing who you are. It's about putting yourself in the right place to be found by the right people. So do a quick audit of your dating life. Are you on the right platform? If not, make a change. Delete the app that's draining your soul and download one that actually aligns with your goals. If you have a flexible personality, you might want to have multiple dating apps. You're going to fine tune your profile for each individual app, but it still reflects your personality and your character uniformly across each app. Having multiple dating apps under your belt increases your ability to find a match. But depending upon what type of match you're looking for, depends upon which app you're spending more time on when you're in that mood. Likewise, you could still practice your communication with potential suitors on apps that are higher in rotation for pen pals and friendship onlys, which allows you to improve your communication and help you gain confidence with icebreakers. Then when you do get to the dating app that is about the serious connection, you know what to talk about. But if you don't, you can always, like I told you guys before, get this dating assassin deck, because it has 150 questions that you can ask somebody as an icebreaker on a dating app. And these are some deep ass questions. So as soon as you put that question up there, they're like, oh. Some of the times it might scare somebody away because they weren't that deep. But those individuals that are really looking for a good conversation, you're going to ask them those kinds of questions, and you're going to know what kind of person that they are to determine if that's the kind of person that you want to be with. And then for two, you will be able to have an in-depth and involved conversation, because you're not asking the genuine, how was your day? What was your favorite food? How was your week? You know, what's your favorite hobby? What do you like to do for fun on the weekends? The same old, same old. You know, you want to ask something different. Like, what's your investment portfolio look like? Would you prefer cryptocurrency or stock options? Are you a day trader? Do you like day trading? Do you know anything about investing? Are you the kind of person that's an impulse buyer? Or are you calculated about your financial decisions? These are the kind of things that you need to know. Do you have a budget to spend on frivolous things that you don't need? Or do you only buy the things that you can't live without? Are you the kind of person that prepares for an emergency, or are you the kind of person that just wings it? These are the types of questions that lets you know what level of stability the other person is on. And these are questions that are not gender biased, which means that these questions can be asked to a woman the same way they could be asked to a man, and you know exactly what you're about to step yourself into. So stop trying to find a shark in a goldfish pond. Go find your ocean. Your people are out there waiting for you to snatch them up. So I wanted to know from you guys, what did you guys think about a lot of the information that we had going for y'all today? Because this was some of the most unorthodox information. And that Raya app, matter of fact, I'm going to look Raya right now. I'm going to go find out. With RAYA dating app. I want to look at that real quick before we go anywhere and do anything. Let me see if it lets me get it, because it looked like it just said no to me. Because I'm interested about that one, because when it said invite only, I'm like, who? What? Say when? Because I have never heard of an exclusive, but that's why I wouldn't hear about it, because it's exclusive, right? And this is what I do every day. I find myself curious about something, and then I do some research on it. I do a little bit of digging on it so that I can see what it's about. And then if it benefits me, I dig a little deeper. But if it doesn't benefit me, I know what it's about. So Raya is a private membership-based dating app known for its exclusivity and strong focus on privacy. Launched in 2015 and available only on iOS, which is iPhone. Raya was originally conceived as a dating platform, but has since expanded to include professional networking and social discovery features. The app is often referred to as the celebrity dating app due to its high profile user base, which includes celebrities, influencers, and industry leaders. Raya maintains a highly selective admission process. Prospective users must apply, often requiring a referral from an existing member. The approval process can take months, and acceptance rates are low, reported to be around 8%. Now, this exclusivity is a major part of Raya's appeal and reputation. Membership and pricing is strange because once accepted, members pay a subscription, and this fee is currently about $24.99 per month with options for long-term plans. The app is only available in the Apple Store on Apple devices. Raya enforces strict privacy measures. For example, taking screenshots of profiles is prohibited and can result in warnings or removals from the platform. Users have control over their visibility and personal information. Members create profiles linked to their Instagram account, including a photo montage, personal information, and interests. The app offers features for dating, networking, and friendship with a global member directory and map known for being visually curated. Hold up. Lost my place. There it is, visually curated, with many users showcasing glamorous or high status lifestyles. Raya is known for its concentration of celebrities, models, musicians, and high profile professionals. And this draws both public attention and a long waiting list, reportedly as high as 100,000 people at a time. The platform emphasizes trust, respect, and privacy, where members are expected to adhere to community guidelines, with violations resulting in suspension or termination. While some users are excited by the chance to connect with celebrities, others find the app superficial with a heavy emphasis on appearance and status. Some reviews note that the app can feel elitist. Oh, elitist. Okay. And the matching can be difficult. Others appreciate the reduced presence of bots, spam, and catfishing compared to mainstream dating apps. Well, if you're one of those overly attractive females and you're able to jump in on that app, yeah, you ain't got to worry about being catfished. But fellas are going to end up having to get catfished no matter where we go, because whether or not we're getting hit with a bot, being sold some bullshit, or just occasionally attracting the female that's looking for a financial out, these are the negative sides of things over having the genuine women that are looking for genuine matches for genuine reasons, whether it's a hookup, whether it's friends with benefits, whether it's a pen pal, whether it's a long-term commitment. The genuine interest of the female is not as easily acquired, because since men have the obligation stereotypically to make the first move more often than not, outside of middle-aged women and above middle-aged women who are proactive about their approach, the men have to hit every single profile, and it is hard to find the profiles that are not spam. Women have to deal with spam profiles too, but women can easily identify which profiles are bullshit versus which profiles are genuine. Men are not that creative. Women's intuition requires you to have a female friend in the friend zone that probably should be your girlfriend, fishing through your profile for you to tell you which one of these profiles are genuine, because otherwise you will be barking up the wrong tree. Because one of the things that we've come to find out is that there are a lot of the times that there are individuals that lie about their age, put up an attractive photo, and could potentially be not old enough to be talked to by the guy. Laws in most cities and states around the world indicate that it does not matter that you did not know. What matters is that what you did was talk to someone that wasn't old enough to be talked to. And that poses a problem. So guys have to be careful about their interactions with individuals, because just because a profile says 35 doesn't mean that she's 19. If the profile says 28, it doesn't mean that she's 18. So you guys got to be careful. And then when they're coming across females that are under 5'6", the ones that are like 5'4" and 4'11" and other such, they're the same height as somebody in a middle school. So you got to be careful with the height range, because certain height ranges add more risks for the guys. Women put on 6-inch stilettos and try to make themselves perceived to be taller. But the fact is that if you're 5'7" with heels, so is somebody's 14-year-old daughter. So you got to be careful with who you're talking to on the platforms. And I've said a lot of the times that there's a different type of danger that men have to experience that women don't have to experience. Women have to worry about being abducted by a group of guys and put into a trafficking ring. Guys have to worry about being put in jail for talking to the wrong chick on the wrong time of day or the wrong day of the week, and being in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person and genuinely looking for the right person. So it's a whole different level of danger. So we have to be careful with what we're looking for and how we're looking for it. So quality over quantity. Out of the number of individuals that do respond, you're still going to receive fish. You're still going to receive spam, but you'll receive less of that. You're still going to get ghosted, but you're going to receive less than that, less than normal. Individuals that are shooting for 203% hits. For each person you like, 203 people like your platform. Out of the 203 people that like your platform, probably 2 people might communicate with you. Out of 203 people that communicate with you, only 2 of them are going to be willing to meet with you in person. You got some that are willing to hold a conversation, but they're willing to hold a conversation because they're paid to keep you on the platform. You got to be careful with that too. Those individuals that are not willing to make a video call with you could be an individual that is hosting 14 or 20 different platforms, or 14 or 20 different accounts on the same platform. Once you see somebody in real time on a video call, they're not going to see you again from a different profile if they're trying to catfish people. But if you're talking to an individual photo, you can talk to 8 different photos. And here's another thing that I want you guys to pay attention to. You could tell that you're being catfished by, more often than not, female's photo than a male's photo, not because women catfish, because a lot of times it's some troll guy, 300 pounds in their mother's basement doing this crap. But the fact is that a person who is catfishing will get a photo of 5 or 7 different females that have similar attributes, and they'll put all those photos up there back to back. If you analyze each photo, you might find out that's not the same girl. The hair color is different. The eye shape is different. The features about this person that cannot change. Their hairline is in a different location. You know, they might have had a tattoo in one photo and did not have a tattoo in the same location on another photo. And you'll come to find out that's not the same person. If there are a series of photos in the photo montage that has more than one person in it, that's a spam profile. That is not easy to do with a guy, because no 2 guys look the same. No 2 guys dress the same. But the standard ideology of what is considered sexy the average woman adheres to. So all it takes is for 3 or 4 different women to presumably have similar poses with similar body types. The background doesn't matter as long as the person who's looking at the photo can piece together the 5 images and assume that this one person is in each of those videos. But I've had it happen to me within the last month where I was looking at photos and the person accidentally sent me a photo that wasn't the same photo. And I was like, wait a minute, because they got me onto WhatsApp from the main site. So I'm comparing the site photos to the WhatsApp photo, to the profile photo on WhatsApp, to the profile photo where we first started talking. And I'm like, hold on a second. Those photos over there are not the same as these photos over here. You're giving me photos of somebody else. And you already know that they're catfishing you because they're going to ask you the intuitive question of what's different about the photos. Bitch, if you don't know, then you trying to fuck out of me right now. Because say, for example, I got hair in all of my photos. Then let's say I cut my hair. The first handful of photos, which would be the oldest photos of me when I had hair, should be some of my photos. Then the rest of the photos of me with a haircut should be the rest of my photos. If they say, well, these photos don't look the same, I got a haircut after the first 2 or 3 photos and I never updated the photos. So when you see me, you'll see me with the hair. I know what the change is because it's me. But if you ask me, well, what's the change? What's the difference between the photos? How can you tell the difference between the first 3 photos and the last 4 photos? I'm looking at eye shape. I'm looking at depth perception in the eye. Now, look now. I'm start getting into detail, cheekbones, the lining in the mouth over here, the cleft in the chin, and I'm just gonna let y'all know that, ladies, y'all already understand that we got like 2 generations of gamers on dating platforms right now. So anybody who's watching this show right now that likes to put up a catfish photo just for the sake of entertainment, you got to understand, you got 2 generations of gamers right now. My generation and the generation right after me. 3 generations if you start talking about the 20-year-olds, right? And the fact is, the majority of us get the most entertainment about custom character creation on our mass multiplayer role-playing games, which means that we spend a lot of time adjusting facial features, eye depth perception, and foreheads and hairlines and hairstyles and muscle mass and all of this other stuff. And it started with games like Raw versus SmackDown, Saints Row, San Andreas, where video games where we create our own character, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, where we're adjusting what our characters look like. Now, because we are able to pay attention to these features when we're on a video game, playing a video game, you understand that when we start paying attention to the photos, when you're really looking at not just one photo, when you're looking at 3 to 5 photos and you're flipping back and forth between the 3 to 5 photos, you're like, huh, that's different. Because this is something that a normal person would not be able to change. You can't change the intensity of your cheeks. You can't change whether or not you've got a little extra sag under your chin if your jawline is not tight. You can't change whether or not you got an Adam's apple. You see what I'm saying? These are things that you just cannot change. And I'm talking about like it's in one photo, it's not in another photo, but it's in the next photo. That's not something that you can change. The difference between having an A cup versus having a D cup versus having a C cup, that's not something that you can change. Because you can say, well, you could get a surgery one time, but who the fuck is going to pay 10 grand 3 times? Like, I didn't like that sauce, I'm going to sample another size. Fuck you, me. That shit hurts. If you've ever gotten surgery before, you know that the after surgery pain lingers. You're not going to try to get that surgery on a regular basis. If it ain't working for you, you don't like it, but you're gonna keep them motherfuckers. That's what I'm saying. But one of the things that men usually get with catfish is that some amateur catfishers will typically take their best photo from their youth and put it up there as their primary profile photo, which gets the most attraction. Then when you get to look at them in a video call, some bitch is like 20 years older than their photo. So that might have been what they looked like when they were 22, but now they're 43 and they don't look like that no more. They might have been slim in the photo and now they're far less slim. See what I'm saying? They might have had like smooth, silky skin in that photo, and now they got stretch marks all over the place and wrinkles and stuff. And that's typically the novice catfish that we get. It's a foot in the door method. When they put the photo up of their best self from the best year that they look the best, then they just roll with that forever. Usually because individuals will put up the profile when they start the profile and then they never update their photos, which is why updating your photo at least once a month, if not once a season, is adequate. At the very least, every year you should replace your photos, because that keeps a genuine update of who you are. So if you're active on this platform for several years, other individuals that are also active on this platform will probably cross paths with your profile several times. Improvements in your platform, a positive verified position, they're more likely to have circled back on you and talk to you another time because they might have come across your platform quite a few times. You will also find situations where if you've been doing what you're doing and updating your platforms over a long period of time, you will find yourself in a situation where you are being approached in public because you match with somebody on the dating platform, but y'all just never communicated on the dating profile. So do that. Another photo that you could probably use, because I told you the fifth photo could be a little bit of everything, but the other thing that you could do for your fifth photo would be a photo of you at work. If you got a job, what do you look like when you're at work? So if you got a UPS uniform, Walmart uniform, exotic dancer uniform, whatever it is that you do for work, put it up there. Appropriate photo though, but put it up there. And that kind of lets your partner know what you got going on. It helps with building an environment around, or an atmosphere around, the kind of connection that could be sought from the person that's looking at your profile. You have to remember, it's not about the deliverer who's delivering the message. It's about the receiver who's receiving the message. So what your profile says about you is not necessarily what is interpreted by the person who's observing your profile. So you want to make sure that you are putting the most effort into putting the most positive observation of your profile on the website, so that when individuals engage you, you're more likely to get a positive engagement. Because if you put anything up there that could remotely hint towards something derogatory or debacle, you will definitely get those individuals that would preferably find you in a red light district. So think about that. Now, that is all I got for you guys for today. I got a couple things I got to get into, not necessarily work related, but I did say that I was going to tackle some things for you guys for the show, and I was going to find some more information for tomorrow night's show. So I want to get into that because I actually have to finish that coffee video overnight. So I got to do that as well. So between tonight and tomorrow, I got to turn that in so I can go ahead and get the coffee thing. It was Two Rivers original coffee blend. They are a uniquely executive level coffee, and I've actually had my second cup out of the 40 box set of assortments of coffee, and the one that I had today was dark chocolate. Legitimately, that was the flavor, dark chocolate. Fantastic cup of coffee. So I'm working on getting through the 40 because it gave me a mystery flavor. And, I kind of wanted to start with the mystery flavor, but since the mystery flavor would better be suited by trying the other 39 flavors and then seeing if the mystery flavor is one of the other 39, I'm going to try to go down that path first by drinking the first 39 and then drinking the mystery flavor last. So I'm going through each individual flavor at least once a day or once every other day so that I can get through all of the flavors and then try to see which one it reminds me of. And then I'll let you guys know. And I can only assume that each box might have a different flavor, but if it doesn't, everybody else who grabs the same box set that I did should be able to experience the same experience that I did, and you'll be able to note which flavor you got in comparison to which flavor I got. So you'll be seeing that video going up this weekend with links to the product so that you will be able to pick it up for yourself. And that will aid you in your ability to enjoy coffee the way I enjoy coffee, as you enjoy investing the way I enjoy investing. One more time before I go out, just remember, if you guys weren't here earlier, I told Steven that I'm going to be updating your list for the dividend rotation strategy this weekend. And sometime this weekend, I'm going to add it to the back end of the show. So whether it's tomorrow, Sunday, by Tuesday, I'm going to be letting you guys know what the list is. And I will be putting it in the comment section that day of which 10 to 20 companies that we're investing in, which stocks we're investing in for dividend rotation, and then which ones are coming up next in the lineup, so that you'll be able to know where to go and what to do and when to do it. And then we'll be talking about other investment opportunities. So I want you guys to stay tuned for the rest of the week, because we're live 7 nights a week. We do not let the sun rise without going live. We typically have it time stamped on YouTube as to when we're supposed to air, but we usually sometimes air a little bit after that. But we are definitely guaranteed to go live. If the show is scheduled to go live and hasn't gone live, give it some time. We're about to go live. We got to bypass all of this internet fluctuations and stuff to that effect, and then bypass when the president decides to do something ridiculous so that we can see what's going on there. And in addition to that, I'm going to do some digging to find out what Donald Trump is talking about as it relates to World War III conversations, and see exactly what the hubbub is about. And if it's something that could negatively impact our ability to make, save, and invest money, I'll let you guys know about that on Monday. So as it stands for right now, we've got one more topic we're going to cover on Saturday, our members only show on Sunday, where we're going to be discussing questions and comments from the fans, everything under the sun, from STEM topics to relationship topics, at personal advice topics, anything to that effect, everything under the sun on this and that, where we cover this, that, and everything in between. So I'm going to leave you with, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And then fellas, since we are a 75% male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, I strongly encourage you guys to take all the information that I give you and do some research and make some changes. If there's anything that you got going on in your life that you wish wasn't going that way, there is another way. If you don't know what way that is, ask me about it. And if I haven't already covered it on the show, I will find out and I will provide you with that information. Proactively making change in your life so that you are no longer dissatisfied with your life is the goal. Becoming a higher valued man does not require you to simply have more money, because social status and financial status is part of being a higher valued man. But having your shit together is the other part of being a higher valued man. So that means that your personality and your characteristics are also under control. Your emotional intelligence, your maturity, your decision-making processes are all factors in being a higher valued man. Being assertive about standing on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, because as a leader, you make the final decision, not a recommendation. And everybody that is operating under your authority, that is operating under your resources, are individuals that adheres to that final decision as the head of household. The same way in Asia, the head of household is great grandfather, who is the trustee over the estate, the individual who tells everybody how they're getting their money. And if they don't follow his instructions, they can get cut off financially. Head of household. The head of the house tells you what you can and cannot do, and you follow those instructions as from the household. If you're not capable of standing on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior and dictating terms, then you are allowing yourself to be unappreciated and then used and then manipulated. Ladies, higher value women that are capable of being alpha boss ladies, that are able to carry it for themselves. You have the capabilities of dating a man that does not make as much money as you. You could be the head of the household and make those decisions, and you still also have the same responsibility, equality, the same responsibility to make sure that anybody that is operating under your financial status, where you're the head of household, adheres to your authority, because you pay the cost to be the boss. So you want to make sure that you're putting yourself in the right atmosphere, in the right environment. You're not spreading yourself too thin. You're not allowing yourself to be used, abused, or manipulated. So that goes both ways. So fellas, take this information and use it, because the ladies are going to take this information and use it. We're supposed to do it better than they do it in order for them to select us. But if you're selecting them, you got to make sure that you are worth their selection before you start stipulating demands. Don't nobody broke as fuck walk up onto a dealership and start demanding prices on cars. You got to be able to show that you can afford that shit before you walk up there and start demanding shit. So before you know that that's the car that you want, you know that you got the income to cover it. And before you know that's the woman that you want, you have the status that she's looking for to meet the majority of her expectations. Now you want to go over there and find out if the rest of her expectations are within reason, that you're willing to accommodate. This is how we stop leading ourselves into unexpected failure. Until then, we're going to be tiptoeing around unexpected failure because our priorities are not in order. So fellas, if y'all pay attention to the priorities that benefits you and your agenda, while incorporating the priorities of your partner to improve her agenda as well, recognizing that this is only going to be successful in a relationship where your partner is prioritizing your agenda as well. Unless all of that's going on, bro, you are sailing a sinking ship. The only difference is how big is the fucking boat determines how quickly you're going to drown. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. Do not ignore pet peeves. Do not ignore change. Do not live with the mentality of it is what it is. It is the way it is until you change it. Get I can't out of your vocabulary, because you can do whatever you want to do in life until somebody with more authority over your situation stops you from doing it. So it is never I can't. It is either I don't want to, or somebody else is interfering with my ability to do it. But it's not that I can't. I can. I just got to get past Karen to get it done. It's not that I can't. It's I don't want to. But I can't is the avoidance of responsibility, blaming a third party for your refusal to do. It's not I can't. It's I don't want to. And when you recognize that, where there's a will, there's a way. So I can have a better lifestyle. I can be happy with the way my life is. I can find my success if I find another way, because the way that I'm going about doing things right now, I will not find that success. Not that I can't find it. Until I change, I will not find what I'm looking for. But once I change, I can find what I'm looking for. And you have to change the way you think, change where you're doing what you're doing, and a lot of times change who you're doing it with. You might have to change your network. You might have to change where you live. You might have to change your employment, but change is going to happen so that you are no longer miserable with the life that you have, because you may not be able to control the life you were born into. But at 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, you've had plenty of years to make the kind of decisions to change that. The only reason why you're still in the same lifestyle you was born in is because you chose not to change. So when you come back to this and that, when we're talking about this, that, and everything in between, you are coming back to find, make, and enforce change. The last time y'all seen this kind of change, Obama was in office for 8 years. So keep in mind, there's always room for improvement. And one more thing, ladies, nobody's ever a 10, because a 10 is perfect and nobody's perfect. Anybody who claims that they're a 10 is a person that recognizes that regardless of how many flaws they have, they refuse to change. If there's anything about you that you don't like, or if there's anything about you that you know somebody else that matters to you doesn't like, that means that there's room for change. You just don't feel like making that change, which means that you're not a 10. You're less than a 10. You're not perfect. So stop lying to yourself, because when you tell somebody else with all your observed flaws from the outside looking in that you consider yourself a 10, all you're saying is not that you have high self-esteem, not that you have high confidence in yourself, but that you are refusing to change any observed flaws. It's almost like buying a house as is. It's like buying a car with no warranty as is, because the person selling the product is not willing to change any observed flaws upon sale. And saying that you are a 10, ladies, when you're clearly not, observes the fact that you have flaws that you are not willing to change. Now, all that means is that whatever guy that's talking to you has to understand that they must accept those flaws, because you're not going to change them if the guy points them out. That's going to make it harder for you, because anybody that's not willing to adapt is not relationship material, because relationships are codependency, and codependency is a blend, and a blend requires an adaptation. So think about that. Men know they aren't perfect. Men just don't know what to do to get closer to acceptance. So that's what this podcast is going to teach you guys how to do, is to make the changes that you need to get closer towards acceptance. And then, ladies, break down that barrier of refusing to change and improve all areas of your life that needs to be improved, because you will go from being a moderate to high value woman to being a high value woman, which will attract higher valued men. So one more thing I can give you, ladies, is that if you've come to find that you have been dating ain't shit men, it ain't the men that's the problem, because you are attracting men that ain't shit, which means that if the value of the man is low, and all the men that you are communicating with, that you are dating and hooking up with, are low valued men, then that means that the persona that you are presenting to your environment is that of a low valued woman. Because if you were presenting yourself of a higher value, you would be attracting higher valued people. Think about that for a second. So with that being said, I'm going to say thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night.
That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.